Welcome to Ancient Echoes, Coins and Culture of the Ancients, the channel that takes you on a captivating journey through the intricate tapestry of history, numismatics, and the rich cultural heritage of civilizations long past. I'm your host, and together we'll dive deep into the fascinating world of ancient coins. Those small, metallic windows into the past that reveal stories of empires, trade, artistry, and the essence of societies that once flourished. Join me as we uncover the secrets behind these small but powerful artefacts, exploring the tales they tell about economies, politics, art, and the daily lives of our predecessors. We'll venture into the remarkable cultures that minted these coins, decoding symbols, inscriptions, and designs that carry the echoes of distant eras. So, whether you're a seasoned numismatist, a history enthusiast, or someone eager just to discover the hidden gems of antiquity, Ancient Echoes is your gateway to the enthralling world of coins and culture from ages gone by. Today we're going to be looking at Rome's food supply. The population of Rome has been estimated at around 1 million people. Feeding a city of that size in an era before mechanised transport or refrigeration was an enormous undertaking. The population figure is disputed because there were no precise demographic data from the ancient world. In Rome's case, one piece of evidence does come from the rare citation of population numbers in an inscription that is in part about the city's food supply. This comes from the Res Gestae by Augustus, and it reads as follows. As consul for the 11th time, 23 BC, I made 12 grain handouts of grain I had bought at my personal expense. These handouts of mine never reached fewer than 250,000 men. In 5 BC, I gave 320,000 of the urban plebs 60 denarii each. Therefore, if 250,000 adult heads of Roman families received the emperor's grain handout, the reasoning goes a total urban population of at least 1 million seems possible. If not under Augustus, then certainly at the city's high point in the 2nd century AD. As well as giving us a clue to the city's population size, the passage shows us that emperors well understood the importance of maintaining Rome's grain supply, and the growing expectation among the city's population that this was the emperor's responsibility. We see this again in the Res Gestae when Augustus states that, at the time of a grave shortage of grain, I did not refuse the responsibility for the grain supply, which I so administered within a few days. I freed the entire population, at my own expense, from their fear and danger. The 4th Roman Emperor, Claudius, was also made aware of this problem in a rather dramatic fashion, and we see this in Suetonius' Life of Claudius 18. When the grain supply was constricted because of continual droughts, he was held up in the middle of the forum by a mob and showered with insults and bits of bread, such that he was scarcely able to escape the Palatine Hill by a side entrance. Afterwards, he gave a very thorough consideration to ways to bring food supplies in, even during the winter. Claudius's response included building a large harbour basin at Portus, near Ostia, on the sea coast, to give Rome's grain fleets a safe anchorage when they could not transfer their cargoes to river barges to head up to Rome. The problem of feeding Rome had preoccupied the city's rulers since the Republican era. Rome's basic calorific staple was grain, to be made into bread, though olive oil and wine were also important bulk imports. Some estimates suggest Rome could have consumed around 400,000 tonnes of grain annually. Monte Testaccio, a hill made up of entirely broken olive amphora near the city's port district, testifies to the comparable scale of the olive oil trade. The city's immeasurable hinterland was insufficient to support such a large need, and a large part of it was given over to the cultivation of fresh produce, like vegetables and fruit, which had to be grown close to its point of use. And on your screen now, I'll put up an image of the Porticus Aemilia and Monte Testaccio. The free market, subject to natural fluctuations and shortages, could not do the job by itself. As we all know, the city's politician had therefore intervened in the Great Supply, or Annona, since the late 2nd century BC. There were direct interventions like Augustus's purchase of grain for distribution, and also laws which mandated grain sales at subsidised prices. The first such law was passed in 123 BC by a fiery politician called Gaius Gracchus, arguably the first in a series of populist political gestures that eventually toppled the Republic, and was revived by Roman leaders over the years until 58 BC. Clodius, a populist mob politician and Cicero's arch-enemy, made the grain free and widened the eligibility for receiving it. Augustus and his imperial successors maintained this system at an enormous cost. In the early 3rd century AD, Septimus Severus added olive oil, and later on Aurelian added pork and wine to this free service. The other part of this big logistical equation was providing the physical infrastructure to maintain Rome's food supply. Waterborne transport has always been important to Rome. It's there in the city's origin myths. Romulus and Remus, abandoned to the Tiber by their mother, supposedly floated ashore near the Forum Boarium, an area of coming and going which is often encountered in my other videos when we're looking at Greek styles of temple architecture, such as the Temple of Portunus. Back to the story, Aeneas rode up the Tiber also to the site of future Rome at the end of his long journey from Troy. So it's the river Tiber and river systems have played a key logistical role in not only supplying Rome with food, but also in their foundation myths. By the Middle to Late Republic, this river connection was served by a dense area of warehouses and loading quays, which grew up quite a bit further down the Tiber, behind the Aventine Hill, which also had an association with the plebeian order and temple to Ceres, Liber and Libera, god and goddesses of crops and vines. The most prominent structure here, on the marble plan in the surviving archaeology, is a huge structure made up of a long series of parallel barrel vaults. This is conventionally been called the Porticus Aemilia, on the basis of a fragmentary inscription, Leah. And I'll put up an image of that now. And also modern scholarship has questioned whether we might reconstruct the inscription as Novellia instead, and read this as a naval arsenal building. Either way, this is a testament to the early and sophisticated use of concrete to build important infrastructure to serve Rome's connections via water to the wider world. Other buildings in this area do include a warehouse named after the 2nd century BC consul Servius Sulpicius Galba, with his tomb standing proudly outside it. There are also impressive remains of quays, loading steps and mooring rings on the Tiber banks. And that is about it for supplying Rome with food, with rivers and water infrastructure playing a key role in supplying the Roman people with food. As we come to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes, Coins and Culture of the Ancients, I want to thank you for joining me on this exploration of the past through the lens of numismatics. The journey we've embarked on is just the beginning, and there are countless more ancient coins and stories to uncover. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to continue delving into the captivating tales of ancient civilizations, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm reminding you that the echoes of the past are still all around us, waiting to be heard. Thank you for tuning into Ancient Echoes, Coins and Culture of the Ancients.